Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're not just going to skim the surface of the 7 habits. No, we are going deep. We're going to dissect the actual system, the architectural blueprint behind one of the most influential books ever written. So, let's just get right to it. Why does so much self-help advice just fall flat? Stephen Covey asked this exact same question. He looked around and saw a world full of quick fixes and surface-level tips that just weren't creating any lasting change. And he had a pretty powerful theory as to why. Here's his big idea. He argued that for decades, self-help was completely obsessed with the wrong thing. It was all about what he called the personality ethic. You know, your public image, your communication techniques, the way you come across, basically all the superficial stuff. So Covey proposed a radical return to something deeper, the character ethic. This isn't about looking good, it's about being good. It's about building a solid foundation of things like integrity, courage, and humility. His entire philosophy is built on this inside-out approach. Think of it like this. If you have a map of a city, but the map is wrong, it doesn't matter how positive your attitude is, you're still going to get lost. You have to fix the map, your character, so it actually aligns with the territory. Timeless principles. Okay, so before we can even get to the habits themselves, we really need to understand the 2 big ideas that hold this whole system together. Trust me, this isn't just some random list of tips, it's a structured, intentional journey. First up is what he calls the Maturity Continuum. We all start out in a state of dependence, the you paradigm. You take care of me. Then we work our tails off to achieve independence, the I paradigm. I can do it myself. Now, a lot of people think that's the end goal, right? But Covey says, nope, the highest level, the real prize, is interdependence. That's the we paradigm, where strong, independent people choose to work together to create something far greater than they could alone. All right, framework number 2. And this one is absolutely critical. It's the P/PC balance. P stands for production. Those are the golden eggs, the results you want. PC is production capability. That's the goose that lays the golden eggs. You see where this is going, right? If you only focus on grabbing the eggs and you forget to feed the goose, well, pretty soon no more eggs. This simple idea applies to everything. Your health, your car, your relationships. So, with those frameworks in mind, the entire system starts from the inside and works its way out. The first stage is what Covey calls the private victory. You have to win the battle with yourself before you can ever hope to win with others. This brings us to habit 1, be proactive. This is all about where you focus your energy. See, reactive people spend all their time worrying about their circle of concern, things they have zero control over, like the economy or what other people think. But proactive people, they pour all their energy into their circle of influence, the things you can control, your choices, your attitude, your skills. And the coolest part? When you do that, your circle of influence actually starts to grow. That leads perfectly into habit 2, begin with the end in mind. This is the first creation, the mental one. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, right? Of course not. This habit is about creating your life's blueprint. What do you want to be? What do you want to stand for? You have to define that first, in your mind. And if habit 2 is the mental creation, well, habit 3, put first things first, is the second creation, the physical one. This is where the rubber meets the road. You've got your blueprint, now you actually have to build the house, day by day, choice by choice. It's the discipline of doing what you already decided was most important. And how do you do that? Covey gives us this brilliant tool, the time management matrix. Let's be honest, most of us live in quadrant 1, constantly putting out fires, and quadrant 3, getting bogged down by interruptions that feel urgent but aren't important. The secret to an effective life is to live in quadrant 2. This is the stuff that's important but not urgent. Planning, prevention, building relationships. Living in quadrant 2 is the absolute game changer. So once you've achieved that private victory, once you've started to master yourself, you're finally ready to move on to stage 2, the public victory. This is all about working effectively with other people. But remember, you cannot skip ahead. You have to do the internal work first. And this whole stage runs on one powerful metaphor, the emotional bank account. Just picture it. With every single person you know, you have a bank account of trust. When you're kind, when you keep a promise, you make a deposit. When you're rude or you break your word, you make a withdrawal. It's really that simple. To have strong, collaborative relationships, You need a high trust balance. You got to keep making those deposits. This is where habit 4 comes in. Think win. And this isn't just some negotiation tactic. It's a total philosophy for life. It's about shifting from a scarcity mentality, the idea that for me to win, you have to lose, to an abundance mentality, the powerful belief that there is plenty of success and credit to go around for everybody. Habit 5 might be the hardest one for most of us. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. I mean, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Most of the time, we're not really listening. We're just reloading, waiting for our turn to talk. Covey says we need to practice empathic listening. You know, like a doctor who has to diagnose the problem before they can ever prescribe a solution. And when you combine a win-win mindset with true empathic understanding, something amazing happens. You unlock habit 6, synergy. This is that creative magic where the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. It's where 1 + 1 = 3, or 10, or 100. It's when people with high trust collaborate to create new third alternatives that nobody could have come up with alone. All right, we've covered the private victory and the public victory. So what's left? Well, the final habit is the one that holds it all together. It's the one that makes everything else sustainable for the long haul. And it is habit 7, sharpen the saw. Remember that goose that lays the golden eggs? Well, you are the goose. This habit is all about taking care of your most important asset, yourself. It means consistently taking time to renew the 4 key dimensions of your life: the physical, spiritual, mental, and social/emotional. If you let any of these get dull, the whole system starts to fall apart. And Covey is crystal clear on this. This is not a checklist you do once and then you're done. Not at all. It's an upward spiral of growth. You learn a principle, you commit to living by it, and then you do it. And every single time you go through that cycle, you move to a higher level. It's a lifelong process of continuous improvement. So the system seems pretty flawless, right? A perfect blueprint for an effective life. But what happens when you try to apply that blueprint in a totally different cultural landscape? Does it still hold up? This is a really interesting question. Some critiques, especially when you look at the habits through a Latin American cultural lens, point out some real friction. They argued that Covey's framework is very much a product of its culture, a very individualistic Anglo-Saxon way of seeing the world. And this is where it gets really thought-provoking. For example, what if you live somewhere with a ton of systemic instability, like corruption or economic chaos? That huge circle of concern can feel like it's constantly crushing your little circle of influence. Or how about time? Habit 3 is all about those rigid quadrants, but in many cultures, relationships are just way more important than sticking to a strict schedule. And this whole inside-out, pull yourself up by your bootstraps idea, well, that can feel like a massive burden, even a privilege in societies that have a stronger sense of fate or rigid social structures. And that brings us right to the heart of the debate. The cultural critique is valid, and it's incredibly important. But Covey's ultimate argument would be this. These aren't just habits or cultural preferences. He believed they are principles, natural laws, just like gravity. They are the territory, not the map. And so the final question he leaves us with is not, is this system convenient for me right now? But rather, is it true?